President Bola Tinubu has presented the 2026 budget to the National Assembly themed Budget of Consolidation, Renewed Resilience and Shared Prosperity. He said the 58.18 trillion naira proposal builds on ongoing reforms, citing or noting economic growth of 3.98%, inflation down to 14.45%, and reserves at a 7-year high of $47 billion. Projected revenue stands at 34.33 trillion with a 23.85 trillion naira deficit. Key allocations are 5.41 trillion naira for security, 3.56 trillion naira for infrastructure, 3.52 trillion naira for education, and 2.48 trillion naira for health. President Tinubu promised tighter budget discipline, better revenue drive, and a strong focus on delivery and stability in 2026.
Our Nigerian economy to benefit all our citizens. I am encouraged that our reform efforts are already yielding measurable results. 1. Our economy grew by 3.98% in the third quarter of year 2025, up from 3.86% in the third quarter of year 2024, year in, year out. Inflation has moderated for 8 consecutive months, with headline inflation declining to 14.45% in March 2025, with stabilizing food and energy prices, tighter monetary conditions, improving supply responses. We expect the deflationary trend to persist over the year 2026 horizon, barring major supply shocks. Item 3. Oil production has improved, supported by enhanced security, technology development, and sector reforms. 4. Non-oil revenues have expanded significantly through better tax administration.
His Excellency President Bola Tinubu, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, I'm being joined in the studio virtually by Dr. Samson Simon, Chief Economist at the ARKK Economics Data Limited. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Samson. Yeah, so Dr. Simon, if you can hear me, the President pointed to economic growth, easing inflation, and rising reserves as signs that the reforms are working. But from your point of view as an economist, do these numbers reflect real recovery?
Well, there's no doubt that there is recovery. The things are looking up. The President was right in citing figures, empirical evidence. Inflation is down 10 percentage points. Foreign exchange reserves have climbed to many years' highs, right? So there is improvement. There's no doubt that there is improvement. But the translation of this improvement is where the problem is. People are not really feeling the impact of these improved numbers, sadly. So there is real improvement. The empirical evidence is there. But I think there's a disconnect between
Oh boy, I think we might have lost Dr. Simon there. We'll get back to him in the course of this. But remember, the President also pointed out at a 58.18 trillion naira budget, and a large chunk of it is going to debt servicing. Dr. Simon, are you back?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I do know some people, someone just whispered in my ears that maybe it's too early to celebrate the easing situation in the Nigerian economy. But let's look at this from the point of view of the size of the budget. 58.18 trillion. That's the budget proposed. And you and I know that there's no how that will come out without a little bit of an addition from the National Assembly. But Be that as it may, a large chunk of this proposal is going to debt servicing. Does this point to genuine drive in growth, or one that mainly seems to keep the system afloat?
Well, the budget is the largest, nominally is the largest budget so far. Considering what happened this year, some of us thought they would be a little bit humble and they will bring down the size of the budget, but it seems they are not letting off, that they have doubled down on the size. They have made the budget for 2026 even bigger than the one for 2025. But in all honesty, we know the best predictor of the future is the past. We struggle to meet up with 2025 budget, ditto for 2024, and even for 2023. So what exactly are we going to do different in 2026 to meet up? Somebody says maybe tax reforms, implementation of the new tax laws, or hopefully those things should help. But we know we have a revenue problem, and that has been a challenge for us. Recently, the minister said out of 40 trillion projected revenue for this year, only a quarter was gotten. And in 2024,
Dr. Simon, if you can hear me, may
situation.
I just point out something here? You brought in a couple of budgets, past budgets, 2023, 2024, 2025, and now we're going towards 2026. But we do know that the 2024 budget is more or less still running. The 2025 budget is still running. I'm not even sure we've even gotten into the 2025 budget yet. But now we're already getting a 2026 budget, and the government is projecting discipline in revenue mobilization and spending. I mean, if you see that we have 2 or 3 budgets that are running concurrently, we're now adding another budget, and we're talking about discipline in revenue mobilization and spending. What does that say? Where are we going?
I know the intent for the president or the government is that they're trying to meet up with everything. But I'm sorry to say it's just chaotic. You don't run so many budgets at the same time. I don't think you really, I know the intent is noble, but the situation, the reality is that it doesn't make sense. It makes things more difficult. And mind you, you're struggling with generating revenue. So many budgets will be fighting for the same revenue because there's no any other there are no other sources of revenue that you're going to use to fund the budget outside the regular sources of funding this budget. So it's not, I don't think it's ideal. Like you said, the 2025 budget for the recurrent they have tried their best to meet up. But for the capital, they're talking about 70% to be taken to 2026. And 2024, we're still running 2024 budget. So it's a huge problem. I think it demonstrates indiscipline, fiscal indiscipline, and I think they need to do something about it. The president alluded to trying to do things differently subsequently, but I know it's easier said than done. We all know that it's easier said than done. So let's see how things play out.
Okay.
But the reality is that it's so sad.
Just before we let you go here, let's look at let's talk about what should Nigerians expect. I mean, they're struggling with cost of living, and they're looking at what would 2026 hold. What part of this budget should interest Nigerians the most? What should they be expecting realistically?
Well, the president seems to make tackling insecurity to be his number one priority. So we hope to see improved security, particularly with the new defense chief, and then infrastructure, and possibly food supply too, not just importing food to bring down prices, but domestically producing food and helping with agriculture. So Nigerians should look forward to that, hopefully.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Samson Simon, Chief Economist at ARKK Economics Data Limited. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.